Welcome back to the Daily Rollup. Or welcome to the Daily Rollup if this is your first time in. My name is Kagan Dunlap, and Monday through Friday we put together 5 to 7 short news stories or segments of things that are happening around the world, not only to entertain you, but to teach you about things that are happening in the world around you, so you don't have to dig and we'll do the digging for you. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so on September 3rd of 2025, China held a grand military parade in Beijing's Tiananmen Square to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against the Japanese aggression in the end of World War II, also known as Victory Day over Japan in China. Now, this event marked one of the largest displays of military equipment and military might in recent years, emphasizing China's transformation from a nation that was devastated by war to a global superpower. Now, the parade was presided over by President Xi Jinping, which you can see poking his little head out of the car as he's riding down the road with a bunch of microphones sticking up right up next to him. And it served multiple purposes. It was supposed to showcase advanced weaponry and project national strength, and also foster domestic patriotism and nationalism, as well as signaling resolve against external pressures. Now, the parade began at 9 a.m. Beijing time on September 3rd of 2025, following a massive grand opening gathering ceremony. It was held along Chang'an Avenue and in Tiananmen Square, which is a pretty symbolic location for major national events dating back to the 1980s when you know what happened. Now, the opening ceremony started with an 80-gun salute to symbolize the 80th anniversary, followed by troop inspections and a speech by Xi Jinping. Over 10,000 troops apparently participated, including goose-stepping soldiers, elite units, and formations representing various branches of the People's Liberation Army. More than 24 foreign dignitaries and heads of state attended, notably Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Some other notable attendees were leaders like countries that are aligned with China through the organizations like BRICS and the SCO. Even the Indonesian president attended despite initial cancellations due to domestic unrest in the area. Now, the event was closed to the general public with very strict security measures, including office closures, window restrictions, and empty streets in central Beijing to ensure control and safety. So I can imagine that the logistics involved in that were pretty massive. The parade featured hundreds of advanced weapon systems, many unveiled or displayed publicly for the very first time, underscoring China's rapid military modernization under Xi's leadership and also highlighting their interest in showcasing this technology to the world, like a show of force. Some of the key highlights included the missiles and ballistic systems, including the DF-26 Delta, which is an intermediate range ballistic missile with anti-ship capabilities, the DF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle missile, the CJ-1000 supersonic cruise missile, and formations of fighter jets, including advanced models, flew overhead in precise patterns as well on top of that. Some of the ground vehicles they showcased were tanks, armored vehicles, specialized units paraded, with some making their debut for the first time. Now, this is not an annual event, but like a milestone commemoration similar to the 2015 parade for the 70th anniversary that they threw out there. Now, part of the reason why they were throwing this parade is just to honor China's role in World War II, where they suffered pretty immense losses, including up to 35 million casualties, but they eventually emerged victorious against the Japanese aggression at the time with the help of the United States, because the United States at the time was helping them pretty significantly against the Japanese. It also highlighted China's founding role in the United Nations as a permanent Security Council member. Now, some of the political messaging involved in the event were things like when Xi used it as a way to warn against national bullying and reinforces China's no first use nuclear policy while also showcasing deterrent capabilities. Now, the presence of Putin and Kim Jong-un kind of symbolized an axis of upheaval, potentially influencing international dynamics, including reactions from the U.S. President Donald Trump, who, funny enough, posted to Truth Social at around 9:15 p.m. last night, saying the big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. President Donald J. Trump. Now, you can interpret that however you want, but now a lot of the live broadcasts were available globally via outlets like CGTN and international networks and stuff like that. Some online discussions questioned video authenticity, but those are probably outliers, and there's widespread confirmation that everything was authentic and there wasn't any like AI. A lot of the Western media emphasized the show of force and alliances, while Chinese state media focused on peace and anti-fascism themes. Now, this parade just kind of reinforces China's impact on national geopolitics narratives and likely influences global perceptions of its military capabilities as a result. So either way, it's always interesting seeing these big, massive military parades. All right, so the House Oversight Committee released all of the stuff they could publicly that they got from the Department of Justice, but I'm going to give you a heads up, you're not going to like the format or like how it's being done. It's like, it is the most atrocious, convoluted thing you'll ever see in your life. Anyway, there's a website, you can check it out. I'll post it on my X so you can like find it and stuff like that. But yeah, you click the link, takes you to houseoversight.gov, and then up there it'll say Epstein related documents can be found here. You click there, and then what it does is it pulls up a freaking Google Drive that says prod01_2025082022, and then this is the folder details. It says oversight.gop.119@gmail.com. That's the Google Drive that they created. There's not like an official government Google Drive. When you open it up, it says volume 00001 and then like the dat.opt. One of them has images and then one it says natives. In the natives folder, you've got natives 006, 008, 011, 012. And in some of the folders, there's like massive amounts of audio files. In the other ones, there's like a whole bunch of video clips, one of which looks like a tour of Epstein's like homes or something like that. It's pretty extensive. I don't know if I haven't watched these clips. I think some of them are just like interviews or maybe clips that were recorded inside of his home. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't had time to look through them yet. And then the other files are just like all of the documents pertaining to the case, and each sheet is a screenshot. It's like each PDF document is one page of the document. So it's split up into like 33,000 pages of documents. Each PDF is one page. So good luck. It's going to be impossibly hard to you're going to need to use AI to compile this into one document that's sequential in order. Like, that's the only way this is going to get done, is using AI to compile it all. I don't know who put it like this or did this format, but bro, like nothing pertaining to this stuff is simple. Nothing pertaining to this stuff is easy. It's all extremely complicated and convoluted. That's what I found. So, anyway, you guys can check it out if you want. I'm going to probably try to do more of a deeper dive later on, but God almighty, this is like insane. So on September 3rd of 2025, Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended a grand military parade in Beijing that was hosted by Chinese President Xi Jinping to mark the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II and China's victory over Japan. Now, following the parade, Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin held a bilateral meeting at China's state guest house that lasted more than 2.5 hours, apparently, and the talks focused on strengthening ties between Russia and North Korea, with Putin focusing gratitude to Kim for the role that North Korean soldiers played in supporting Russia's military efforts in Ukraine. The two leaders vowed to deepen cooperation, including military, economic, and strategic areas amid ongoing international sanctions on both countries and geopolitical pressures. It is pretty evident that they had built like a level of rapport with each other based on the way that they interacted in person and previous summits, and also the mutual defense pact that was signed earlier in 2024. I didn't realize the Polish have such a good sense of humor. Apparently they invented a combat duck, which is referring to the Kaksa drone. Yes, you heard me correct, a combat duck. And this Polish invention was unveiled at the MSPO 2025 Defense Exhibition in Kielce, Poland. Now, despite its name Kaksa, which translates to duck in Polish, the drone is designed to resemble a white swan for camouflage purposes. Apparently, the swan decoy mounted on a box-like base that houses its systems had a single camera, often described as a cyclops eye right on the center where its head is used for surveillance. It's an amphibious unmanned vehicle that can operate on both land via small wheels and water by floating, though its off-road mobility is relatively questionable due to the wheel size. Developed by Poland's Military Institute of Land Forces, the Kaksa is intended for covert reconnaissance missions and surprise strikes, potentially against threats like invading forces. It can be controlled from up to 5 kilometers away, supports autonomous operation, and carries a payload of up to 10 kilograms, which could include explosives for specific targets. Now, the disguise aims to blend it into natural environments from afar, enabling approaches on bodies of water or shorelines in a stealthy capacity. Now, the only downside is this has kind of sparked some skepticism and humor online and in defense circles, with critics noting it may not fool observers up close and could attract unwanted attention in real-world scenarios, and is more likely too expensive than compared to simpler alternatives like standard FPV drones or quadcopters that offer better range and versatility. While innovative in concept, drawing from broader trends in bird mimicking drones for special operations, practicality is somewhat debated still. All right, this video is showing a Ukrainian sapper, which is an explosives expert, recovering high explosive material from an undetonated Russian Fab 500 glide bomb, which the Fab 500 is a Soviet-era 500-kilogram general-purpose explosive with a very high explosive warhead, often fitted with glide kits by Russian forces for extended range and attacks on Ukrainian positions. Now, these bombs have been heavily used throughout the entire Ukrainian war, with Russia deploying thousands of them per month, though some land and fail to detonate, which is probably what happened to this one. Now, the reason that he's banging this thing out is because, like, if he can dislodge the chunks of explosive filler, which is likely a TNT or similar type of compound, then it falls onto the ground, and then they can use that to create explosives for other drones. Now, while the process may look risky at first glance, according to discussions, it's relatively safe once the sensitive detonator is removed from the ordnance beforehand. Although, I certainly wouldn't want to be banging on that thing with a hammer. Personally, that's just me. But yeah, like I said, Ukrainian forces oftentimes do this to recover materials from duds, to repurpose them to potentially use them for their own munitions like drone payloads or improvised devices. So here's another good example of the Ukrainian forces using the Turkish Bayraktar TB2, which is a medium-altitude, long-endurance, unmanned combat aerial vehicle that was developed by the Turkish company Baykar. It's been supplied to Ukraine since 2022, a little bit before the full invasion of the Russian military actually took place, with Ukraine accepting dozens of units through direct purchases and also donations. Now, these drones are equipped with laser-guided munitions like the MAM-L Smart Micro Munition, which allows precision strikes on ground and naval targets while providing real-time intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Now, all things considered, they're relatively affordable in price, around $5 to $6 million per system, including ground stations. And the TB2 gained fame for its role in asymmetric warfare, including in conflicts like the Nagorno-Karabakh, before its use in Ukraine. In the initial phases, these drones were highly effective against Russian convoys, artillery, and even air defense systems near Kyiv, and even in other areas where they needed to be very precise due to proximity to civilian populations. The most recent footage I've seen of this came in 2025 after a TB2 destroyed a Russian military boat in the Kherson region using a MAM-L munition, as shown in Ukrainian naval footage that's been shared all over the place, which kind of marks like a notable return or resurgence of the drone to active combat roles in southern Ukraine, where gaps in Russian air defenses have allowed successful operations. So there's allegedly a hot mic moment that was captured between the Chinese President Xi Jinping and the Russian President Vladimir Putin on September 3rd of 2025 during the big military parade event that was happening in China. Now, the two leaders, who are both 72 years old, were walking towards Tiananmen Square alongside North Korean leader Kim Jong-un when the exchange was inadvertently broadcast by the Chinese state media outlet CCTV. In the footage, Putin's translators heard saying in Chinese that biotechnology is continuously developing, following an inaudible comment from Putin to Xi. And then the translator continues saying, quote, "Human organs can be continuously transplanted. The longer you live, the younger you become. And you can even achieve immortality." Now, Xi reportedly responded by noting that some experts predict that humans could live up to 150 years this century, while a separate translator relayed a reference to organ transplants in Korean, presumably for Kim Jong-un's benefit. Now, China and Russia are both pretty heavily invested in the biotech sector, with China leading in areas like gene editing and possibly organ harvesting, but we won't talk about that. Anyway, the casual conversation has been sparking online reactions all over the place because people are like, organ transplants, where are you getting those organs from, huh? Anyway, let's listen to what they said.
过两
代表发展，人类的器官会不断的移植，甚至越活越年轻，甚至会长生不老。预测呢，本世纪呢，可能未来可以活到150岁。
Interesting conversation. Well, that's it for the video today, guys. I appreciate you sticking around till now. Just in case you weren't aware, watching all the way through to the end like this helps support the channel and helps support us in our ability to provide information and convey information and relay information to you guys. So I appreciate the support to the channel. Please let us know in the comments below what you thought about the video. Please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps support the video and supports the channel and enables us to continue to do this so that I can afford to pay good editors to take care of this, so that way we can keep doing this. So I appreciate the support. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about the video, and then we'll see you in the next one.